Hey guys, today in this video I would like to analyze a TOEFL writing question 1 response essay. If you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with what TOEFL requires for the first writing question. I believe it is called the integrated writing question, perhaps because it involves reading a passage and listening to an audio-only lecture, and then you must write an essay that characterizes the relationship between the claims made in the reading passage or article and the claims made in the lecture or by the lecturer. So I want to focus on one such essay and focus particularly on how we characterize the relationship between those opposing claims, because I want to convince you that choosing effective transition phrases, which are the things I have bolded here, I want to convince you that the process of choosing those, of formulating those, of writing those, is not just a matter of going into your repertoire of sophisticated sounding phrases and pulling out just the choice of the moment. It's really about understanding more deeply the relationship between those claims so that you can express it on the spot. It doesn't mean there are not a handful of extremely useful phrases, but you can end up misrepresenting the relationship between opposing claims if all you're doing is memorizing some fancy sounding phrases. So let's jump into that, and I hope it's helpful and informative. We'll start by reading the introduction, or chunks of it. The reading passage and the lecture focus on the carnivore diet. So the first thing that the introduction does well, it announces the shared topic. So the lecture and the article will be discussing the same thing, hence the possibility of agreement or disagreement. The next thing you want to do is characterize generally the nature of the overall disagreement. It's okay to be very general. Okay, it's okay to be, very general. So while the reading extols the benefits of this approach, the carnivore diet, the lecture offers a more skeptical perspective. So enthusiasm, champion versus slow down a bit. Let's go versus maybe we should check the weather. That type of thing. So that's the general characterization. Okay, so let's go to the first body paragraph. The first body paragraph will sort of be considering 2 points that you've identified from your reading and your listening as sort of being directly in opposition. So the reading argues that the carnivore diet may alleviate autoimmune disorders by reducing exposure to inflammatory compounds found in plant-based foods, such as lectins and oxalates. Perhaps that's incorrect pronunciation. No matter. So the claim here is that plant-based foods or compounds found therein can cause inflammation. Plant-based foods can cause inflammation. So in contrast, the lecture refutes this claim. Okay, so here we have direct refutation. If we want to try to characterize this relationship, this opposition, direct refutation. It's raining outside. No, it's not raining outside. Refute the claim. Okay? So how do they do that? Well, they assert plant-based foods are rich in antioxidants and phytochemicals that actively combat inflammation. So they don't cause inflammation, they combat inflammation. This is a direct refutation. They're refuting the claim. According to the lecture, eliminating these essential compounds may deprive the immune system of critical support, potentially exacerbating rather than alleviating inflammatory conditions. In other words, you think you're trying to help by removing plant-based foods, but actually you could be doing more harm than help. By the way, guys, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm just reading the claims made by our two sources. I'm not taking a side, just for the record. Okay, so we found a little bit of direct refutation, and we had a kind of in fact, furthermore moment of more harm than good. Second body paragraph. A second point raised in the reading is that, so you don't need anything more fancy or sophisticated than this. What is another point raised? What is the second point that you will be discussing? It's that the carnivore diet can enhance mental health. How? By stabilizing blood sugar levels and optimizing brain function through nutrient-dense animal products. Okay, the lecturer challenges this notion. That's a bit vague. We have to see what the type of challenge is. But it's still very clean. The lecturer challenges this notion by arguing that similar stabilization of blood sugar can be achieved through balanced diets that include, that do not exclude, whole grains, legumes, and vegetables. So what is the nature of the opposition here? Well, the article is claiming some exclusive benefits. So in other words, you can only you can only stabilize your blood sugar by cutting out whole grains, legumes, and vegetables. That's the implication. A diet without those things stabilizes blood sugar levels. So the challenge is, well, actually similar stabilization. They don't say identical, but they say similar. So perhaps of the same kind, to the same extent, to similar extents. Similar stabilization can be achieved without cutting out those classes of foods. So in other words, you're talking about a benefit of meat only. That benefit can be achieved with meat and other things. So this is sort of challenging claim of exclusive benefits, thereby challenging the necessity of the diet. Furthermore, the lecturer warns that. So they go further. They go further than just challenging that notion. The absence of dietary fiber in the carnivore diet may negatively impact gut health. So lack of fiber, bad for gut health, which is intricately linked to mental well-being. So we've got a callback to mental well-being. We've got claims about optimizing brain function, and enhancing mental health. But they're saying actually, again, you could be doing more harm than good, potentially leading to adverse psychological effects over time. So the notion, again, they're challenging the notion. The implication is that you can only stabilize blood sugar levels, or you will enjoy better success at stabilizing blood sugar levels by cutting out everything except meat. So that's implied, although it's not directly stated, right? So they're challenging that notion. It's sort of in between the lines. Lastly, the reading praises the carnivore diet for its simplicity and effectiveness in promoting weight management, suggesting that its reliance on satiating proteins and fats helps individuals reduce caloric intake without hunger. Okay, so these foods are very satiating, they're very satisfying. You end up feeling satisfied without eating as much. This weight management, in other words, most likely, helps you lose weight. So this reduces the number of calories you're taking in. So plausible. So what would be the lecturer's concern? What would be their challenge? What is the nature of this opposition in body paragraph 3? The lecturer raises concerns about the diet's long-term sustainability and health implications. Okay, so we're not saying no, that's not true. It's more like, okay, but for how long would that be healthy? How long can you pull that off without facing some serious health risks? And then it goes into the details. It notes that the high intake of saturated fats and cholesterol associated with this diet could increase the risk of heart disease. So this is an associated risk. Additionally, the lecturer emphasizes that the lack of dietary variety may result in nutrient deficiencies and challenges in maintaining the diet over extended periods. So we have an echo, extended periods, we have an echo of long-term sustainability, and lack of dietary variety is sort of the counterbalance to simplicity. So, we're praising the simplicity. Well, simplicity actually seems to imply, or at least according to this argument, a lack of dietary variety, which could be a bad thing. So what is the nature of this opposition? Challenge sustainability of purported benefit. I hope that's a word, purported. There's also an element of more harm than good, or risks associated with the diet. Yeah. So there's elements of that as well. Oopsie daisy. So yeah, the bolded phrases, guys, those are not just kind of copy pasta filler. We want those to, in the case of this one, for instance, we want it to accurately represent the relationship between the claim on the left side of it and the claim on the right side of it. That's really what we want to do. We want to kind of understand the moves being made by each source and how they kind of line up together. I hope you found that interesting, helpful. If so, feel free to like the video. If you're interested in more content about TOEFL, English stuff, etc., feel free to subscribe or request something in the comments. That would also be fine. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.